Welcome to our first tutorial on Computer Numerical Control that will supplement your learning in IE 248. Computer Numerical Control, or CNC, is a coding language used mostly in manufacturing in which the program commands, stored on a computer, precisely control the machine automatically. Most CNC coding is used mainly for milling, but also includes turning and plasma cutting to make higher quality parts faster and cheaper. In this tutorial, we will be going over a very simple line of code and highlighting the key points that you will need to know when interpreting code. For this tutorial, we will need the PDF attached here, a piece of engineering paper, and a pencil. Before watching this series of CNC tutorials, it will be to your benefit to review the flashcards on Study Blue to learn what each line of code means. The first shape in this series uses simple movements that you will need to understand before making complex designs. To begin, we will have set the origin to the bottom left corner of the part. The origin is not always the starting point for code. However, for this part, the origin will be the starting point as well. When looking at the entire line of code for this shape, you will see an N followed by a 4-digit number. This sequence designates each line of code. For example, N0020 is the second line of code in our shape. In general, increments of 10 is easiest in case you need to insert a line of code between two. You won't have to rename all your lines. Step 1. Let's begin with the first line of code, N0010G90X0Y0. N0010 tells us this is the first line of code. For following lines, we will skip mentioning it, but don't forget what it means. From the flashcards you have already studied, you will notice we are using a G90 code, meaning we are in absolute mode and will be referring back to the origin for every point. The X0, Y0 tells us our starting point is that X is 0 and Y is 0. Step 2. For the next line of code, the G00 tells the machine to do a rapid traverse or move quickly to the designated point in a straight line. For our shape, X0, Y30 tells us we are going to not move in the X direction, but will go up to 30 on the Y axis. Step 3. To get to the next point, we will use the line N0030. This line doesn't need a G code because the machine will remember what G code you used last until you tell it to do a different one. We will move over 7 on the x-axis and up to 37 on the y-axis. Step 4. For the top of the shape, we will move over to 53 on the x-axis and stay at 37 on the y-axis based on the line N0040. Step 5. Looking at the line N0050, we will make the same angled cut by telling the machine to go to x equals 60 and y equals 30. Step 6. For the sixth line of code, N0060, it will tell the machine to drop down from the last cut to 60 on the x-axis and 0 on the y-axis. Step 7. The seventh line will be the last code using the same stored G00 code before we need to change it. We will go to x equals 54 and y equals 0. Step 8. For the semicircle, we will look at line N0080. You will notice we changed to G03 code, which means counterclockwise arc. We need I and J to designate the center point of the arc. The machine will make a perfect arc around the center point to the endpoint designated. So, for this example, since we are in absolute mode, or G90, our center point will need to be measured from the origin. Recall your Cartesian coordinate system to know that our center point will be I30 and J0, or over 30 on the x-axis and up 0 on the y-axis. We get 30 by finding the radius of the semicircle to be 24 and adding the distance of the endpoint from the origin, which is 6. Step 9. For the last cut, we will look at the line N0090. We are using a G00 code because we are no longer making an arc, and we want to make the straight cut as fast as possible. We will return back to the origin 00. Step 10. We want to tell the machine we are done with the code, so we will use an M2 code saying we are completely done with the design. This wraps up the first video in our 3-video series, The Simple Design. To continue practicing computer numerical control, make sure to watch the next video, an intermediate design. Thanks for watching, and we hope this tutorial helped with the basic understanding of CNC coding.